I've been really drawn to you ever since I saw the Tony Award win.
Oh.
And I couldn't get to that play. I should probably back up and say I'm like a Maisel obsessive.
Oh.
Um, like to the point where like I had the pleasure of basically speaking to everyone in that show for a number of years. The only person I didn't get a chance to talk to was Rachel.
Okay.
And um, the time that the play was in, I think Brooklyn, I
Yeah.
couldn't get a ticket to it when my husband and I went to go visit. And like to the point where I was such a Maisel obsessive that when I interviewed Tony Shalhoub, I interviewed him a couple of times, and I said something to him about like a detail or a line, and he sort of like stopped. He's like, "Oh, you like really watched the show?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." Um, so I remember you in the Tony Award win. I've seen Motherland. I want to ask about at the end of this chat. I want to ask about Say As I Say.
Oh my
Um,
God. You're really wowing me right now.
well, I cover short films for the site, and
Okay.
I met Michael Polk
Mhm.
at a shorts film festival in Indianapolis over the summer,
Okay.
and I love that movie, and I do want to pick your brain a second about that at the end after we talk about Vladimir.
Great.
Um, and the funny thing about Vladimir is I randomly have the book. I bought it. I bought it. I haven't read it yet, but I was just like, of course, I want this gorgeous cover.
Yeah.
Um, I was drawn to it in a bookstore and I just bought it on the spot. And then I didn't realize Netflix was making a show out of it. And I blazed through the screeners. So I've seen the whole thing.
Amazing.
I'm so again nerding out. I'm so sorry, but
Don't apologize. It's amazing.
so I guess long story short, thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I feel like this will continue for the next 20 minutes. Um,
I love it. I'm still a little bit in a place in my career where um if anybody has seen any of my like film and TV work, I'm still sort of like, what? Especially like an indie film, that came out only in streaming or like a few theaters, or like some of the short films I've done, which by the way, doing my agent always, I just said yes to a short film that shoots at the end of this month, and my agent like, I love them. They don't really care about short films. I love short films.
mhm,
I love doing them so much. So they sent me this offer along. They're like, he's like, I know you're gonna want to do this, and I was like, yeah, I am. Yes,
mhm.
I love them. Anyway, so that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing I love about shorts and why I love consuming as many as I can is just feels like short films to me feel like the purest form of filmmaking. Like it's about the hustle, it's about solving problems.
Yeah.
It's you really have to like no one makes money on a short film. Like it's all about the story. So
Yes,
that's why I
and the
love it.
love of it, like people's passion and their
Mm-hmm.
and like the mission is always very clear when you're doing a short, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like, I want to tell this story. I want to get this little piece of something, or in the case of Say As I Say, not to jump ahead, but I know that Daniel, who wrote and directed it, he has a longer form script
Mm-hmm.
with that family that I have read, and it's an incredible script, and like
Ooh.
we very much hope that can get made at some
Yeah.
point. So that's a means to an end as well sometimes, but
Yeah. I always love hearing when a director says like, this is I don't want to say proof of concept, but I mean it's sort of like the story will continue.
yeah.
I love hearing that. Um, the thing that I loved about Vladimir was I think it invites so many different kinds of conversations about desire, about passion, about generational viewpoints on sex and consent and permission and things like that. Um, the thing that I love about Florence or Flo is that I was really drawn to like your posture in
Oh,
this. And I wrote down in my notes, Florence still remembers to sit up straight. Um, and I don't know if it's because like the hair is up and out of your face. Um, I don't know if maybe you can tell me this. Like maybe there's like physical manifestation of her rigidity or things
Yeah.
like that. That wasn't a question, but I guess let's just start generally. I guess in terms of reading the script, what I'll say, like maybe like what do you like about Florence?
Um, well, I think she's hilarious.
Yeah.
um, uh, it was. I was so excited to try to dive in and see how to toe that line between like how much of just like a total uptight bitch she can be, as well as being sort of also relatable and in some ways as you said at the beginning, like so many people are there's so many conversations I hope that will happen around this, and there'll be so many people I think who align themselves with different characters.
Mm-hmm.
um, and so I, I was like, there may be some people that are like fully have flows back that might
Oh
totally like
yeah.
understand how disapproving she is of Rachel's character and how kind of self-righteous she is. And the thing about the posture is related to that. I mean, look, it's easy for me to tap into. I started training as a ballerina when I was 3 years old.
Oh. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And I was like, I was a dancer before I started acting, like in my youth here in New York City, and then
Mm-hmm.
really fell in love with performing like middle school. And then I went to a high school that didn't have a drama program. So it was really in college that I did my first real play.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but dance was such a part of my life. And so I feel like whenever I get an excuse to tap into that, to use
Mm-hmm.
there is something innate about it. And for Flo, it was like so clearly like just the rigidity, like she's a stick up her ass. Like it's just like
Yeah.
literal, like always just very adroit. I think she only relaxes when she's drunk. And
Oh yeah.
I think she gets drunk a lot. I mean, I think there's one scene in this series where you get a little bit of her like, looser.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that was just like it's like an energy. I mean, I don't think I necessarily thought about her posture specifically, but all of that, like all the physicality and vocal things and all of that comes into play a little bit more when you just like
Yeah.
tap into the energy of somebody and like your idea of them. So I'm chuffed that you noticed that.
I was a big like voice and speech nerd in college. Like when I was in like college conservatory, I was like, I'll roll around on the ground to pretend that I'm a injured squirrel. Sure, that's fine. So I don't know. I think that I really I don't know. I think I really sort of hone in on when actors do that. There's something that it's towards the end of the season, when in terms about people relating to her in different ways. Like I'm a pretty loosey goosey person, but I'm like really anal retentive about like the most random stuff. Like I always say I have like certain Liz Lemon qualities, like following like there are rules, there are lines, things like that. There's a cut back to you when they are telling Rachel's character that she's going to have supervised visits for her classes.
Yeah.
And she says, she's like, oh, I'm going to have bi-weekly sessions. The camera cuts to you, and the way that you nod almost at the camera, being like, yeah, of course, isn't that great? Like, it's sort of like, I can totally see how somebody would relate to, like, yes, these are the rules and we're going to follow them. That's really awesome. I could totally see that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. I haven't seen it yet, Joey. So
Mm,
this is great. I'm gonna see
don't
it
need
next.
to, I can spoil the whole thing.
Good, good. I mean, I did shoot it and I did read it, but you never know what the cut looks like.
Yeah.
That's great.
So, do you know how like have you read all of the scripts? Like, do you know what happens at the very end?
Very much so.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll have a question about that at the end. That we be very vague about.
Right.
Um, I guess going along with that, when do you think the last time Florence did anything reckless, if
Ooh.
ever?
Definitely it's happened, but like
Okay.
safely. Do you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Florence maybe like drove drove her car home after one
Oh,
too
okay.
many cocktails kind of thing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Maybe she like snuck a cigarette one night. You know, I mean, there's this thing like M smokes a certain amount and there
Hmm.
lots of people drink in it. I think those are major transgressions for
Yeah.
Florence. I think she's very monogamous. I think that's what
Yes.
also part of her disapproval comes from. But I think she lusts and has many, probably many crushes and fantasies all the time. But I only think that because when I think somebody, it's like anybody who's repressing anything, they're usually the people that come down the hardest on the people who are
Oh, yeah.
exercising their right. So I just the whole time I was like, she's madly in love with with Vladimir as well. She probably had a crush on John. She probably even like if she knows about the relationship that she and David had, Matt Walsh's character years ago, maybe she's even weirdly possessive and jealous about that. I mean, I just feel
Yeah.
like she's like sort of probably secretly harboring so much envy. um, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's really kind of fascinating about the whole show is just the thing about John and M's relationship is that I kept even saying to myself that I was just like, it was all consensual. And it's sort of like this thing where we put ourselves in a place of judgment of other people. And I don't know, it's something about how the town is small and feels intimate and secluded. But I mean, I can also think that anytime that Florence does anything that she would consider to be a transgression, I feel like she would either probably say, like, let's be bad, let's get another round of cocktails and not tell our husbands. Like I could totally see that kind of lady.
Yeah, like she spent a little too much on those new leather boots. Like she spent $100 out of her budget, and that was like, really bad.
Yeah. I could see her being like, let me tell you something naughty and like looking around and then like, I don't
Totally.
know. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, I was actually going to ask if you think that Florence had any inkling that David and M had a sort of dalliance. But maybe even her ignoring it if she did know it would be a little bit of a transgression.
Yes, yes. I mean, I think I do wonder. We never talked about it, so I
Yeah.
don't know what Julia, our author and showrunner, would say about that. I my thinking is that people sort of always know. Like, I just think
Hmm.
those things that you think are so secret, and especially because I think Florence is such a busybody,
Yeah.
she's very perceptive, and I think she's watching all the time. That whether
Hmm.
or not she ever had any real evidence, or just it was just a vibe that she caught or a suspicion, I
Yeah.
definitely think it was probably on her radar at some point.
And maybe she even feels like if she knew about it and she sort of put that away, maybe she felt like the character that she has to react that way and be
Yes,
like, what? You
yes,
did who and the what and the
yes,
where? I
exactly.
love that. Okay. Um, I guess I wanted to ask about a line that some people say about you when you're not in the room. Um, there's a moment when M and Vladimir are at the cottage or cabin, and they bring they bring Florence up, and I think Rachel's character says she's a challenge, and Vladimir says she's one of the most irritating people I've ever met. Or maybe I'm getting the lines mixed up. But I guess I wanted to know, I will say, like, how does it feel to play a character like that? But I mean, they're still talking about her in a
Yeah.
way. And I guess maybe how does Miriam feel about that? How does Florence feel about that? I'm just curious if you were a fly on the wall.
I love it. I love that. I mean, I all I want to do is play characters that sort of like weasel in and are memorable. So whether that's like, it's easy to be sort of charming and likable. So this idea that she is so annoying and irritating and challenging
Yeah.
that is worthy of mention when she's not around is great. That's
Hmm.
successful to me. I mean, I feel that Miriam in real life is not that annoying. I mean, my husband
No,
might
of
have
course not.
a different opinion. My children might say something else given the day, but no, it's really fun. I think you mentioned Sydney Brewstein. One of my favorite parts about that role was that in the first act she comes on and she's sort of the annoying, obnoxious, very narrow-minded, prejudiced older sister character that is like
Mm,
presented to the audience to be laughed at.
yeah.
And it's like, and Hansberry was such a genius. Like it worked so well. And then at the end of her first scene, like you get a little glimpse that there's something deeper going on. And then in Act Two, with this incredible scene just between her and Sydney, with the Oscar Isaac played,
Hmm.
you get to see the sort of wells, the deep, deep wells of this human being underneath.
Mm,
And it's like the audience does a sort of 180, and it just, I love the idea that like everybody has that, I think,
yeah.
and it's kind of like, even if we don't see that side of Florence in this series, that's not her
Yeah.
function, but I kind of approach everything that way. Like I have confidence that this is a full human who there are good things about her, and
Yeah.
there are positive things somewhere, even if we're not getting to see them. And in some ways, sort of knowing that and trusting that allows me as an actor to be even more annoying, to not to like just go for it, because why not, right?
Yeah. I personally really love when an audience has like such a strong reaction to a character. Like that, when hearing you talk about that, this is so random, but like I was at a film festival and I saw Sentimental Value, and anytime Elle Fanning's character was on screen, the audience was laughing, and you could really tell that the audience was like laughing, sort of like at the decisions that the character was making,
Yeah.
and it was just that specific audience because I've seen it a couple of times, and I think it's also interesting when you hear different kind of reactions to things. But I know that there is. I would love to see the Florence version of this series completely from her point of view, her talking to the camera,
Me
like
too, Joey. I'm gonna
yeah,
pitch it. I'm gonna pitch that. We
because
joked.
I it would
Yeah,
be radically different than the one that this version is, and I'm here for it.
absolutely. We were joking. It was a limited series. It was only ever meant to be the 8 episodes and just sort of
Yeah,
tell the story of the book, start to finish. But we were having so much fun making it that by the sort of last weeks of filming, everyone on set was joking, like, okay, wait, we could do a season two from Vladimir's perspective.
yeah,
With Leo to do that. So I'll urge them along that line of thinking, and then with the idea that season three will be Florence.
yes. That would be such a strong point of view. I think we need that. Yeah.
So
Um, I'm glad that you said that Florence probably had a little bit of crush on Vlad. I will admit that I talked very briefly to Leah Woodall on a plane.
oh
And I was very like I've never felt more like a like a bag of potatoes next to somebody. And he was just like so charming and sweet that him and his girlfriend were there, and Megan, and that makes me want another version of this even more because I would love to see what Florence would have to say about the first time that she sees Vladimir walk up on campus.
totally.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Um.
It's easy with him. He's such a dreamboat, and he's
Oh
such a
yeah.
sweetheart too. He was so much fun to work with.
Yeah. I said something about like I love that so far. And he seems very fine with this, which makes it even better. Like a lot of things that he has done is just the audience lusting after what a nice, beautiful person he is, and he seems fine with that, and I'm fine with that, and all that jazz. Um, the question that I wanted to ask about the end of the series, in the last scene, they talk about, and this will be released after the show comes out, but there are versions of books that come out that are said that come out like M has a version of her book that comes out. Vladimir has a book that comes out. Which book do you think Florence would buy first?
Ooh, good question. Um, I think she would buy them both and read them both at the same
Just
time.
like flipping through one page, then the other.
Comparing. I think she'd probably read Vladimir's with more like openness,
Sure.
and be ready to read M's with far more sort of distaste and judgment.
Caution.
Yeah,
Like
caution.
I can just see her being like, let's see what this bitch says now. Just like putting it down. Um, could I ask really briefly about joining Maisel towards the end of the show, just because I'm a nerd about it?
Yeah.
Um, because that show is so very much about the words, so very much about. I just think women are better than men at everything, and that's probably why I love the show. One of the reasons why I love the show. But I guess I just wanted to ask briefly what it was like to kind of join that towards the end in such a specific part, because again, I was very happy and welcome to see you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was so fun. Gosh, that was during the pandemic that was,
Oh wow.
I did, um, I shot 3 episodes. I was actually shot a scene in the finale, the series finale that
Mm.
they ended up cutting
Ah.
for time, which is too bad. Like there was a scene where we were back in the Village Voice offices, and Midge was calling her dad at the offices, and they had this phone call, and we had this like really fun scene. I think they just brought back me and Chris Eigenman and one other person. It wasn't like
Okay.
the whole group at the Voice. They just brought a
Mm-hmm.
couple of us back, and it was a really fun scene. And
Mm.
like so many television episodes, and especially when it's the series finale, they had to cut something for time, and I think they ended up being able to do it with just cutting to Tony on the phone. So
Mm.
we shot this really fun scene, but the first 2 episodes we did, it was really fun. It was like I knew what the world was, I knew what the style was, but we were also entering into this also like specific niche in that time period, which was like the newsroom and the kind of
Yeah.
quickness and the sort of pragmatism of that, and the hustle and the kind of energy. And I was the only female reporter in this group of men, and it was really fun to walk into something that I had watched already for years and loved, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like I felt like, oh my God, I get to go be a little
Yeah.
part of this, one of the best shows ever.
Yeah.
Um, and the only sad part was that I didn't get to work with Rachel because she wasn't in those scenes.
Yeah.
And fast forward to us getting to be on stage and play
Yeah.
sisters together. That was like the most
That's
perfect.
really cool. Uh yeah, that I don't know, that I love when a show has like a very specific uh rhythm, and obviously the Paladinos have a very well known, very beloved kind of rhythm, but it's completely different than other shows that they've done, and it's just so gorgeous and so funny. Yeah, that's a show that I will like put on when I'm just like walking around doing stuff around the house. It makes me happy.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And then also I did want to ask just briefly a little bit more about Say As I Say, just because I will say that with a lot of short films you go in very blind. Um and when you hear the bomb threat at the very beginning, I think what's great about it is it makes you think the film is going to go one way and it goes the other way. And I'm from Pittsburgh. My mind immediately went to like the horrible mass shooting there, because I'm Squirrel Hill is like my favorite area of the city, so I know that place very vividly. And I thought that's where the film was going to go, but it goes into this very intellectual, very smart, very emotionally open place. And some of those conversations that you have, that your character has with the character of your daughter, are really beautiful and pure and simply written, but very powerful. So I guess I just wanted to know just a little bit about your experience about that, now that I've blathered on about it.
Oh, I'm so glad. That's so meaningful to hear. And I can't wait to tell Daniel Soleil, who, created the film, that, how the impression you got, because that's totally what you're describing is exactly why I wanted to do the
Mm,
movie. Especially when we shot it, just a little while back. And it was the thing that drew me to it was that it felt like a complicated and very, yeah, very kind of wise investigation of um, our bond, like a collective and yet very individualized. We are not a monolith like the Jewish
Mm-hmm.
people, but like the way that we respond in moments of fear, under threat, and
Mm-hmm.
sort of what the perception of that is. And I loved what my character said about just, we, if we react so strongly every single time, like that she was in some ways, I mean, somebody might watch that movie and be like, she was completely irresponsible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like that about it. Again, I like the
Yeah.
complexity of that, which is that some people be like, whoa, 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 she was risking everyone's life by not taking this threat
Yeah.
seriously. And yet, I sort of, in Daniel and I just felt the script so beautifully kind of um, just realized what is so often our fear response. And when we like can
Mm.
take a beat and look at the sort of fallout and the domino effect from having that same response every time, just when, and I mean, the nitty gritty, we didn't get into all of it because it was a short film, but we definitely decided that my character could sort of identify that this was a prank caller, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that protocol would suggest that even with a prank, you take it really seriously. And I'm certainly not, I wouldn't go out and say people not to take threats seriously. But in that particular instance, and that beautiful speech she has about the call, every time we go through this sort of emergency mode and these crises, when they turn out to be nothing, they still cost something, and
Yeah.
they still harden us. And there's that great like metaphor he has about dried fruit.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just loved it so much because I thought it was like um there was something empowering about it, and something about like, let's actually like try to stay sane in these
Yeah.
moments.
Well, it's also too about how your character is helping her daughter like have the guidance to like take that and like use it as a building block when
Absolutely.
like her mother's not around. And I feel like if your character did have a completely different reaction, how that would shape her later. So there's something about how like the carefulness of how the character introduces this. But I don't know, I just thought it was, I don't know, thought it was very beautifully written and very beautifully
I'm so
performed. Yeah.
glad. I agree. And yeah, I mean, there is something in that I was also drawn to it, the like to play against the sort of cliched, anxious, neurotic overbearing Jewish
Oh
mother.
yeah.
Like that,
Yeah.
like this character is actually doing the opposite, as you say. She's sort of trying to have her daughter look at something more holistically in a more relaxed and rational way,
Yeah.
as a kind of guide star for how to
Hmm.
operate in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Well, we need that probably with each passing day more and more than ever before,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Yeah. Um, well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for just letting me law at
I
you the
Such a
uh
nice surprise, the things that we
yeah.
talked about. Yeah, that you've
Yeah.
seen Motherland and Say As I Say. I mean, that's great. But yeah, I mean, Vladimir is the big thrilling thing that drops next week. I cannot wait for everybody to see it.
Yeah, I want to try and like speed through this book really fast because,
Oh,
and I think I will because I started reading a couple pages of it and I was like, this will be like a page turner. And I feel like much like the book, the show is going to get people really excited. I cannot wait for more people to devour this thing. So, uh,
good,
yeah,
good.
just thank you so much for your time. Just a really big fan, and just have a good rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, you too, Joey. Appreciate
Thanks.
it. Bye bye.
All right, bye.